Welcome to the Delmarva Almanac. Each week we connect you to the best of Delmarva. I'm your host, Dana Kester McCabe. If you travel to the marshes of Delmarva during February, you can see that the snow and ice have knocked flat much of the marsh grass, revealing numerous hay mounds that are hidden from view the rest of the year. These are muskrat lodges. Up through the early 20th century, like many other hunting and seafood traditions here, trapping muskrat was big business on Delmarva. Muskrat pelts were dyed and cut to look like seal fur. In the early 1900s, 90,000 pelts a year were trapped near Leipzig. And by the 1930s, 250,000 muskrats were harvested annually in Dorchester County alone. Parts of the marshes there are burned every spring. Currently, this practice is part of efforts to prevent Phragmites and other types of invasive vegetation from taking over. But for a long time, this was done just to make trapping muskrat easier. The muskrat is a native species that can be found here and across most of North America. It is a rodent that grows to about 25 inches long and about 3 to 4 pounds in weight. Like other rodents, they are extremely prolific. A mama muskrat can have as many as 5 litters of up to 5 pups a year. The muskrat performs an important job on the marsh, keeping marsh grass from choking waterways, but when they are overpopulated, they can do great damage. Though they mostly eat the grass, they are omnivorous, consuming shellfish and frogs. Predators that like to, in turn, eat them include foxes, raccoons, eagles, and other raptors. And, of course, people. Muskrat, or marsh hare, were an important part of Native American culture. Many tribes revered them in their creation myths. This was part of a way of honoring an animal that provided the meat and pelts which Native peoples relied on. Colonials learned about muskrat from the native folk, and it's been a favorite winter dish for locals ever since. Muskrat, like other small game, is most often stewed. Pretty much any way you would serve rabbit or squirrel, you can serve muskrat. With their strong, muddy flavor, they can be an acquired taste for the uninitiated. I must admit that I have not yet acquired one. In the early years of living here, I had a neighbor who loved my dog and would take him from my yard, without asking me, to go swimming with his dog. When he returned with my very wet pup, he would sheepishly offer me something he had caught by way of an apology. Usually it was fresh, shucked oysters or clams, which I was happy to accept. Occasionally he would offer a recently butchered muskrat, which I'm afraid I declined after my first taste. For lots of people, they are, however, delicious. I once had an employer who was extremely wealthy, and of all the delicacies he could afford to have, muskrat fried in butter was his favorite meal. A few seasons ago, on a cable television food show, the Wagon Wheel in Kent County, Delaware, was given a makeover. The show's host tried to convince the restaurant owner to take muskrat, a seasonal delicacy, off the menu. They knew it was expected by their loyal clientele, so they declined. You don't have to be from a place like Delmarva to appreciate muskrat. In the late 1970s, Captain and Tennille recorded Muskrat Love, essentially a romantic children's song which became a big hit. They were invited to perform at the Reagan White House during a state visit by Queen Elizabeth, where they played that song. Some petty haters cried out in moral outrage that a song about animal sex should not be played for visiting dignitaries. Tennille essentially told them to get their minds out of the gutter. Here on Delmarva, the muskrat is celebrated at least twice a year. In Princess Anne, on New Year's Eve, instead of a ball drop, they have a muskrat dive. A once very real, now very stuffed muskrat, dressed in top hat and tie, who has been named Marshall P. Muskrat, is ceremoniously lowered by a fire department bucket to ring in the new year. And coming up on February 26th and 27th is the 71st Annual Outdoor Show in Golden, Maryland. This showcase of Eastern Shore heritage celebrates the people who live off the bounty found along the marsh. The event has competitions for International World Championship muskrat, raccoon, and nutria skinning, as well as corn shelling, trap setting, and oyster shucking contests. They'll have cooking demonstrations and plenty to eat, crab, oyster, and chicken dishes. And for the experienced and uninitiated alike, muskrat. Or if you'd like something more modern this week, on Monday, February 22nd, check out the Taste and Learn Chef Series at the Spice and Tea Exchange in Rehoboth Beach with Chef Paul Gallo of Abbott's Grill. Find out more about these and other local food and garden events at delmarvaalmanac.com/events.
And they whirl and they twirl and they tango, singing and janging a jangle, floating like the heavens above. Looks like Muskrat love.
Well, that's all for this edition of the Delmarva Almanac. We'd like to thank our community partners, the Friends of Delmarva Public Radio, the Community Foundation of the Eastern Shore, and underwriters, eatdrinkbuyart.com, for their help in bringing this program to you, our audience. Our theme music was provided by Brightside Studio. This show has been a Moonshell production. Thanks for listening. Until we meet again, may the rhythms and tides of Delmarva bring you good fortune.